Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily Drop-In where we are live every single morning with the Teach Better team, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. It is Friday morning, October 1st. We are so excited to dive into a brand new month where we are able to do so much good work. As you can see, I am here solo this morning because we're having just a few tech issues on the back end. That's kind of the reality of life, isn't it, friends? Like, we are constantly just thinking through what's our day going to look like? How is it going to change? And how is all of this work going to hopefully not affect us too much so we can keep doing the work that we want to do with students? I am hoping that we will have somebody pop in. It's Friday, so you know the one and only Brad Hughes is our go-to guy on a Friday morning. But if not, you can have me, and we will go through questions. I'm sure people will be posting things in the comments, and we will just keep on the up and up because regardless of the tech rules in front of us, we still all get to be together. You know, when the Daily Drop-In started back in March of 2020, the concept was just to be accessible. The Teach Better team looked very different and our community looked very different. And as we continued on our pursuit of growth, we simply wanted to be accessible. So regardless of the tech issues, regardless of anything in between, we are here this morning to support you, hopefully share some positive and energy your way. We have some good news elements of our day, and then we will continue to juggle all the fun that we have in store. So we'll be back here in just a second. Please go fill up your coffee, and maybe we'll try out seeing if we can see the almighty Brad Hughes or if it will just be us today. So details to come. Here we go. Brad, after that music, I am confident this is not an us issue. This is a StreamYard issue.
I'm glad that you have the confidence, Ray, and I hope I'm not sure we can muddle our way through here, and we've got. I'm not sure there's more than enough Brad to go around. It sounds like I've got an echo.
Yeah, there is a delay. There's an echo. I wonder if my video is just as challenging on the live stream. So I'm going to be checking that. Brad, I'm going to have you pop out, and we will enjoy your presence, your energy, your incredibleness in the comments, and we will go from there. But it was at least wonderful to see your face in the morning. It's so good to see you. And I also want to talk about the shirt you're wearing. So if we can talk about that in the comments, please make sure you participate with us. So we're going to wave goodbye to you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday, and we will see you in the comments. For everyone else, good morning. I would love to hear from you if our live stream is functioning, just kind of one of those days. I know that our little commercial that just played was, at least it didn't look good on my end. So I'd love some feedback from all of our network if you can hear me, you can see me, kind of all that good stuff, because then we'll continue. I don't want to quit our Daily Drop-In just because of tech issues. So please feel free to participate with us. Thank you for those of you who are throwing in the comments that you can hear me. That's helpful, right? That's always good. So good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Daily Drop-In. You know my go-to phrase related to any tech issues related to like Daily Drop-In is just us taking the hurdles, the tech problems that you could have potentially had in your day, and we're instead going to take them over and be like, we got you. We took care of it this morning. So you are about to walk into a day with no hurdles, no concerns, no technology problems, no internet issues. Why? Because we made sure that we did it for you. So you're welcome. Really, really wonderful to see all of you. I appreciate those of you saying that that it sounds good. You can see me. This is exactly what we needed. I know Brad had an echo, Sandra. Thanks for putting that in. Brad Hughes, that guy, holy cow. To be honest, this is one of my favorite days of the week, is being able to go live with Brad. And I was really, really eager to hear Brad's commentary on our theme this week of questioning. So hopefully with the powers that we have between us, we will be able to kind of put enough in the comments that all of you can be a little bit more intentionally involved in the show this morning as we dabble with some concerns. And whether our commercials work or not, we could just sing in between segments. Like, I think that we're going to ad lib like the best of them. So we're just going to embrace this morning. For all of you that are here live with us, happy October 1st. It is bright and early at 7 a.m. Eastern. I have my cup of coffee ready for the day. Hopefully you are just pouring yours, getting set for the day, brushing your teeth, all that good fun. For fun, why not? My name's Ray Hewart, if you don't know who I am. My name is Ray Hewart. I am currently the CXO and co-owner of the Teach Better team. I love the Daily Drop-In because of where this came from. I know we've told this story so many times, but usually I'm with somebody and they can stop me when I share this story. But I want you to envision this. So we're hearing about COVID coming to the US. We're hearing about this unknown element, and it is a few weeks, about a month, as we're hearing this, a few weeks before we are literally flying in every single member of the Teach Better team to meet in person. And the Teach Better team is a virtual team. I mean, all of you are part of our incredible community. We have members of our team all over the US and now in Canada. And we were kind of geeking out that we were going to bring everyone together because most of our team has never met. And this was before COVID. This is just how we functioned. And so we were planning this really goofy weekend in downtown Chicago. We were going to meet in a boardroom. We were going to have all these like long meetings where everybody comes ready to work for 12 hours straight. We had all these snacks that we were going to buy. We had a scavenger hunt around the city. We were bringing in a photographer to get some photos. I mean, like, this is story time, right? So as it gets closer and closer and closer, people are like, maybe we shouldn't be traveling. I'm not quite sure what the world's going to look like. And truly, everybody was flying in Saturday morning. We canceled this Friday afternoon. Like, we just decided we can't do it. And the day of that Friday afternoon was March 13th, 2020. And as that day continued, as we canceled this, the day continued where city after city in the US just shut down. And as every single city shut down, we really recognized that the work that we were going to do really wasn't going to be possible. We were really glad that we canceled. However, Chad and Jeff were driving to Chicago versus flying, and they were already on the road because we were planning on being there a little early. So we decided, okay, we will still get together, just the three of us, and kind of brainstorm what in the world we are going to do now that we have this unknown in front of us. And we had this long meeting Saturday. We got a ton of, nitty gritty done, a lot of which you guys have been able to kind of experience in the Teach Better community throughout 2020 and beginning 2021. Like, a lot of that work, the offerings we were able to provide, the live streams, just the cool stuff. It was cool to be able to kind of plan that and get that underway. But Sunday morning, everybody's about to leave. At this point, the whole city shut down. And we had this moment of, how do we support you, our family? How do we support you through an unknown? And as you guys, I'm sure, already know, and especially if you know me, unknowns are scary, unknowns are stressful, and there was no amount of professional development, right? There was no amount of support that we could think of to offer to fix a problem, especially at the magnitude that we didn't even realize COVID was going to be. And so the simplest solution that we came up with was just to be here, just to be accessible. And it was kind of just that simple. So starting that following Monday, and then all the way through the rest of that year, and then sporadically, obviously you guys know this, the rest of the story from there, we went live every single morning. The times changed a little bit. I don't remember what time we started. Now we go live at 7 a.m. Eastern. But either way, it was an opportunity for us to come live. We would interview guests, and we would try and talk shop. And our theory was, right or wrong, like teacher to teacher here, our theory was, we don't know what news will come out, But regardless of what news comes out, whether it be at a national level, a state level, a district level, a building level, we were going to be there the next morning. So you never had to worry about not having somebody to problem solve with. And not to say that you had to necessarily use us, because I'm confident that you guys have been problem solving with so many incredible people in your life over the last few years. But we just wanted to make sure that you never could say that you didn't have somebody in your corner. And so it's just funny now reflecting, now that this is a staple again in the Teach Better family. It's not necessarily a staple anymore because of COVID, although obviously that is still very much something that we are struggling through currently. It really is a staple now because we've recognized that our audience appreciates the opportunities to engage with like-minded solution-seeking educators and those that challenge their mindsets. And so for those of you who tune in every morning or listen later on the Teach Better Talk podcast or whatever, we value a network. We value our network as people that are constantly learning, constantly trying to connect with people. And so like today, although you only get me this morning, we really do want Daily Drop-In to be a space for you. So while I can't necessarily introduce a new face to you this morning, a new member of your PLN, hopefully we can still share a lot of value, still talk about connections, and still go through a lot of questions that you guys may or may not have. So for those of you who are just tuning in, good morning. Happy October 1st. I hope that your coffee is delicious. We are going to continue through our own technology issues to celebrate some good news for the day, some celebrations, and then get into talking shop and wrapping up the weekly theme that we had this week, which was all about questioning. To be honest, I ate this week up and I'm so excited to recap it. So we're going to see if our good news commercial works. If you guys could all take a deep breath for me. If you're doing something, try and get your hands free and cross your fingers, cross your toes. We'll be right back. You knew it was too good to be true, right? You knew it was too good to be true. You knew it was too good to be true. Jeff Gargis just popped in the background. Do you think I'm going to get fired? Hey, Jeff, morning. Morning, Jeff. How are you?
I jumped in because I was like, hey, just in case she needs me. And then I come in and the video was playing and that ended and but your picture in the back end was gone and you were just gone. I'm like, where'd she go?
Yeah, and it was it was a magic trick actually.
So I had it on YouTube and I'm like, and then I see the comments. I'm like, commercial was good, but you're gone.
See, I couldn't see the commercial on my end, so I feel like you're on a little bit of a delay, which is the problem I had with Brad.
So I don't feel any delay, but I can hear myself echoing on your end.
Isn't this
although
really
it's still echoing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, technology is really interesting, Jeff. Don't you think?
Yeah. So if there's a delay and I'm echoing, maybe I should just go too.
Yeah, you're the problem. See, I sound beautiful from the comments. They have all told me. You know that terrible Instagram. What is that like? I'm so uneducated, but that trend where it's someone goes live and they're like, "I'm just gonna wait." Oh, you're so beautiful. Thank you.
Isn't that how yours always go?
No, I hate you.
So
Jeff, you're on delay and you echo and it's weird.
Okay, I'm gonna go, but I just want to point out that you had problems with Brad and with me. That's Canada. That's United States. It's clearly you. You're the common denominator. But okay, I love you. And have fun with
friends. My friends say that they can hear me, so this is just fascinating. I like Adam. Adam just commented. Adam, you are the winner of today. Adam, there we go. Hey, Adam, you're the winner of today. His comment just said, Daily Drop-In is live from the Grand Canyon with all the echoes. Thank you, Adam. Anyway, well, this was a wonderful way to start our day. We're just going to pretend the commercial played. We're going to pretend I didn't get kicked out. We're going to pretend that Brad didn't have issues. Jeff didn't have issues. This is just the day. And here's the problem, guys. We're going to get into some good news story, but can we just take a moment and like talk shop for real? You know that this is just like teacher life constantly. Like, can we just be frank about it? Like, how many of us over the last year or 2 years, we'll just say 2 years for the sake of fun, where you walked in and everything you touched broke? And like, there's this moment of, no way, why is this happening to me? What am I doing wrong? And then there's this element of like acceptance where you're just like, yeah, so everything I touch today isn't going to work. And I feel like that's just kind of the day that we're having. And I'm so glad that we could live stream this to our entire community and model the same thing that you guys have dealt with all the stinking time. But either way, the show must go on, right? This is the fun of the Daily Drop-In. This is the worst episode of all time. And I'm so glad it will go down in history of us together. Let's do some good news, because I did miss the little, like do commercial, but I'm thrilled you guys got it. But I feel like that really drives me in my pursuit and eagerness to do this segment. So I'm feeling a little left out. If you could put some music notes in the comments so I can feel like I got the tune going, that would be great. Okay, here's what I got today for celebrations. And you guys know I love any good celebration. It is National Homemade Cookies Day, which to me is always a win. If you are a cookie fan, then this is definitely a day, but also to make them homemade makes them extra special. So, thank you, Brianna, for those music notes. I so appreciate you, always there in the comments. But what I love is I have no skill to cook or bake. But maybe today is the day to try it out. Homemade Cookies Day. I would like to do a vote actually while I go through these. Is it count as a homemade cookie? Asking for a friend. Does it count as a homemade cookie if I go and buy the already made dough pieces and I put them on a pan in the oven? Asking for a friend. Don't judge me, but I would love to see in the comments if you think that counts as a homemade cookie, because that I could absolutely commit to today. Other things I think would be really interesting to celebrate today, I'm definitely encouraging you to bring this to your students, is World Smile Day. That is really wonderful. World Vegetarian Day, very cool. Chinese National Day. I have no idea what that is. Hold on, I'm going to click on this and learn what this is. Put your patriotic hat on as we get ready to ring in Chinese National Day. What a wonderful opportunity. International Day of Older Persons. I'm not sure what that means. National Black Dog Day. I have 2 of those in my household, so I will just continue to celebrate that on my own, regardless of the day. National Fire Pup Day, National Hair Day, which is always good, and National Poetry Day. So we have a lot of options. The specific ones I think to me that stuck out for my classroom that I would totally bring to my 6th graders would be like the Poetry Day, the World Smile Day. I really love those opportunities, which is very, very cool. Thank you for those of you in the comments that are telling me that it absolutely counts to get the already made dough to put in my house. And like, that's considered a homemade cookie. I'm so glad it is. And thank you for those of you who said not necessarily, but for you, Ray, it is. I'll take it. That's fine. I am not a baker or a professional chef, but I feel like I'm working on this skill set a little bit. So, like maybe the Ray Hewitt cooking show just needs to come to fruition. I'm not sure. Okay, the good news story that I am excited to share with you was something I thought went really well with yesterday's Daily Drop-In. So for those of you who may not have tuned in, yesterday I did not host Daily Drop-In. Maybe that means that Jeff broke this yesterday. Jeff was the host yesterday, and he was joined by Andrea Bittner, and I just soaked up her stories. They did focus on questioning. They did have these wonderful conversations within the hour segment, but I will tell you that her focus on language I found fascinating. If you didn't tune in yesterday, that's definitely an episode to go back to. There were so many different pieces that went into her suggestions on how to support learners of the English language, but also just as an educator, the types of questioning and the different depth of knowledge that we can bring into questioning. I love the focus on language. Language is also not a skill that I find myself very strong in. Learning other languages is always fascinating to me, but I don't pick the skill up well. And I loved her reflection, her evaluation, her suggestions on all the resources out there, that whether you speak a different language or not, the ability to communicate with somebody else. It was such a beautiful narrative. And her book, like, holy cow, I don't own that book, but I looked it up yesterday and I'm so eager to add it to my collection. So she was full of resources. However, for the good news story, I saw an interesting article about language, and it kind of sparked the interest in kind of bringing this back to our community after that great dialogue yesterday. So here's what this says. This says, it's a myth that adults can't learn languages as easy as kids. Benefits multiply if families learn together. Now, I have heard this myth, the concept that adults struggle to learn languages later in life than children who are learning at a young age. So let's dive into this. It says adults can learn a second language as fast as children, reports a new study. It's only the condition in which the child learns a second language that gives the kids a reputation of learning it more quickly as a learner. This means that adults can develop the increased natural connections, typically of bilingual individuals, by doing it with others over the course of multiple years. For children, learning a second language increases the number of pathways within the gray matter within their brain, rapidly breaking down and rebuilding existing pathways to intensify the capacity. They're saying this can absolutely happen in a recent study by having an adult learn alongside others in this collaborative environment. It gives parents a reason to dive into a second language with their family. And so that's their biggest thing. Now, they go into a lot in this article. I was reading it prior to coming live. They talk about nature versus nurture, kind of the effects of the biological element versus the community element. They get into a little bit of what a bilingual home looks like and why a bilingual home has so many different supports for learning that language. Super interesting concept. And then it kind of ends with this call to action. It encourages all of us, or those of us reading this article, to consider incorporating a second language into our world. For those of you who don't know my background, I obviously speak English, but I actually lived with a host family in another country for a period of time. And when I did this, I think it was like a total of 6 months. It was 2 separate trips. I found language to be so much easier to learn, because while I didn't speak this language fluently when I first arrived, the ability to be truly immersed in that environment does require you to think differently constantly. And they even touched on that yesterday as Andrea and Jeff dove into an experience that Andrea had where she was in a host family in a very similar situation, different country than myself, and was immersed in that culture. And I think that immersive experience is not just found in language as to being a benefit, but also something that we can utilize in our classroom and utilize in so many different learning experiences that we go after ourselves. Is that when we take the time to not just engage with a new topic, but immerse ourselves in it, we're able to see a massive growth within a very short period of time. This is actually, not to be like strange and segue here, it's kind of interesting. We've been talking about this related to the Teach Better conference. And I apologize that I'm taking this strange segue, but immersive experience has been language that we've been brainstorming, utilizing as we bring to you the details of the Teach Better conference in 2022, which details will be coming out soon for. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, hey, hey. But the reason it is so important that I think we articulate the use of an immersive experience is because I truly think that your opportunities as a learner look different when you are simply exposed to something and immersed in something. And so, for example, with the Teach Better conference, or even with things that we're able to do in our classroom, when we are able to truly immerse somebody, a learner, utilizing their 5 senses in a very intensive learning environment, surrounded by opportunities to learn, inundated with opportunities to connect and learn, your brain is constantly then making those connections. And I think that when we're talking about a conference, for example, similar to the Teach Better conference that we had in 2019, it's a very small conference. Like, it's a very intimate conference. This is not a conference, a national conference that you're going to go to with hundreds of thousands of people or even thousands of people. We've been joking at having a cap at only a few hundred. And we know our network is larger than a few hundred, but there is a beauty that we saw that existed in the Teach Better conference in 2019, where because it was such a small group within a very small space, everybody was able to make a connection and a new introduction at such a higher rate. And the conversations you were able to have, because it was so much more of an intimate experience, really intensified the growth that we were able to have. And we see this in classrooms. I'm not sure of the style of classroom you're conducting this year or have conducted in your past, but those concept of classroom transformations came from the same idea. When you can have a student physically walk into a learning environment and be immersed, surrounded in that space, you're really changing the game in how we are able to consume and retain information. And I think it's so interesting as we maybe go throughout our day full of tech issues that you know is going to be good because it's October 1st and we just took all the tech issues away from you. So you're going to have the easiest day ever. I'd love to have you continue to reflect on not just the questioning that you're providing students, but also think through the opportunities that you have to choose to immerse your students a little bit more deeply in the work that you'll be doing today. I know Katie Miglin, who's on the Teach Better team, is doing a ton with physical manipulatives this year. That is one element of truly engaging students' multiple senses to immerse them into their learning. I know so many other educators have done massive classroom transformations, or they're utilizing five senses by turning on music and putting a beautiful smell in their classroom and teaching an intense lesson. And this opportunity of music and smell and using visuals is really engaging, so many of their different learning senses. So anywho, I love that kind of connection that we're able to make between an opportunity we all have to be a learner, learn different languages, think through that incredible good news article, hopefully bring some of those celebrations and good news pieces to our students, and then also think about how we can use this information to impact our learning for the day. Now, we are going to transition here into our Brainstorm Bank segment. It's kind of a hit or miss if this commercial is going to play. It seems like you guys are seeing them and I'm just not able to on my end. So if I pop out or the stream ends, I apologize in advance, but we are going to get into the power of questioning. Our theme this week has been the art, the power of asking good questions. We've had really, 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 really good dialogue. We're going to try and start off by summarizing some of the dialogue we've been able to have this week. But then also I'd love to get into any questions that you guys may personally have, any reflections you guys may personally have on the skill of questioning. What things are still unanswered? What other pieces can we point ourselves to continue to be learners on this topic? So fingers crossed, here we go. See, just there's no way. Yep, just that was a problem and it was no big deal. You know that song, It's the End of the World as we know it? Every time I click that commercial, I'm like, that's what we're about to enter into. And then my whole screen just shuts down. So good morning. Thank you for joining us for Daily Drop-In. I assume we're still alive, so I'm just going to keep talking to myself over here in my office. It's so good to see each and every one of you. Thank you for jumping into the comments and giving me some feedback, not only on educational things, because feedback is always just such a wonderful element as we continue to have dialogue this morning on educational topics, brainstorming the things we can better do to not only serve ourselves, but also serve our students, but also the feedback that, our technology is either working or not working. And I really appreciate all the text messages that I'm getting, because you should know if you're texting me right now, I'm getting so many of them that I can't read them and still maintain a smiley face and talk. So we're just going to keep going. Glad that we are all here this morning. Happy Friday, October 1st. Thank you to those of you who are not only throwing those green hearts in the comments, but also texting me and blowing up my phone, which I cannot read right now unless I pause. So just going to keep going. We've been talking about our brainstorm bank, and our brainstorm bank is an intentional time where we sit back, regardless of what's going on in the world, and we say, hey, do you need anything? Now, as you've learned earlier this morning with all the technology issues we've had, I may not be able to offer you anything at all, but I sure want to try. And it's really good to at least be able to reflect on, hey, do I need something? And whether the Teach Better team can support me in this very moment or not. Is there somebody within my network, within my community, within my family that can get me what I need? This week has all been focused on questioning. And so I guess the first question I want to ask you is, do you need anything? Is there anything I can help you with? And if a question pops into your mind, I'd love for you to throw it in the comments. I am not promising that I necessarily have a solution for you, but I absolutely appreciate that our team is committed to being a part of finding that solution for you. So whether it's connecting you with somebody else in our network, getting you a new resource, talking through some ideas, that's why we're here. So feel free to continue to utilize us as a partner in your solution that you're looking for. So as we kind of think through this week, we've been talking about questioning, which was a topic that I was eager to discuss, but not one that I felt confident in as an educator. One of the things I loved most about being in the classroom, one of the things I really appreciate about engaging with students day to day is the art of conferencing with students, which absolutely has to do with strategic questioning. However, as I was thinking through a theme of questioning, I really was focusing more on the questions that appeared on our summative assessments. And what I appreciated about this week is every single guest we had, every single conversation that evolved over time reminded me that questioning is so much more than just what is typed on the white piece of paper that you are handing the student on a Friday afternoon or at the end of a unit. And it's truly about being strategic with the dialogue. So I'm not going to play the commercial because I'm learning that messes up my stuff on my end. But I do want to recap a little bit. We're going to go out a little out of order than usual. I want to recap a little bit of what this week looked like, and then obviously take some questions from you as we are diving into this topic, kind of concluding our day. So just to start off, Monday, I was live with Jeff Gargas. And during this time, he kind of flipped Brainstorm Bank on me and started asking me some of the opinions that I had on questioning. And that's always a really tricky moment, because when you're reflecting at the very, very beginning of an idea, your process actually evolves over time. So while it was a really wonderful dialogue that Jeff and I were able to have on the importance of questioning, it was during that time that we really connected questioning with so many other things we do in the classroom. We not only have this art of questioning that we can discuss, but we got into the concept of assessment. We got into the concept of feedback. Grading is within the same idea. And so as we continue to discuss questioning, we notice that questioning is extremely connected to so many other things that we do study intensely in our classroom. It kind of came to fruition, though, when we talked to Tom Schimmer. Tom Schimmer was able to join us on Tuesday, and Tom's focus was on a multitude, so many different things. However, one of the things I really valued about my conversation with Tom is that he really saw questioning as an element of a lesson plan, an element of a teaching experience that an educator would go through to expose a student to, that needed to be excessively intentional. And while there were so many different mic drop moments with Tom, I find him to be an absolute go-to guru in this field. I really appreciated that his focus was less about how the question is formatted, right? Like, what's the sentence starter you're using, but more about what's the outcome you're trying to get. And so where can you strategically place the question in the learning experience to gather data that you're interested in. One of the examples that he had was going through a mini lesson and being really intentional about how that mini lesson was designed and where in the mini lesson you should be strategically posing specific questions to help guide you with how your students are interacting with the information. It kind of led us down an interesting road that then went into how the teacher consumes the answers that they receive from a question. Now, this is something I have absolutely been exposed to. I find this to be so interesting because even while coaching educators on how to pose questions, I actually find most educators that I coach don't have problem posing questions, but occasionally have concerns on how they're consuming the answers they get. And that actually lent itself very well and was constantly a dialogue when we were talking about student conferencing. When you bring a student up in your classroom, whether it be to a kidney table or a standing table, and you want to engage with them quickly, and if they're a one-on-one or small group conference, to confirm their understanding. I know many of you in our Teach Better family do that when utilizing Mastery Learning in your classroom. The GRID method, that Mastery Learning framework that we teach on all the time, creates and fosters opportunities for you to conference with students. However, many teachers are like, I love that. I'm going to bring the student up and I'm going to ask them this question. And the difference is the last layer of that is being able to understand the answers that the students give you and be able to process that quickly enough to make decisions based off of that for future opportunities. Tom went into all this beautifully, you should know. So if you haven't listened to him, you definitely need to. But his example was simply the difference between getting information from a student that you can go through quickly and respond to quickly versus an exit slip where maybe you're, giving out pieces of paper, collecting those pieces of paper, and it takes time to kind of go through the information you get. And it doesn't need to be paper. It can be a technology, Google form as well. But the point is you're kind of sifting through the information you get, and that takes time. He also discussed that the time that it takes is not bad. We just need to be aware of it. We want to be able to pivot and provide student feedback as quickly as possible. And so if you're taking time to sift through the data you're getting, maybe there's a 24-hour leeway that you're giving yourself to respond to it. That's not necessarily the end of the world, but you want to make sure that that's extremely intentional in your classroom. So he really dove into how to do that. The last thing that was then brought up when I was live with Dave the following day was this concept of what questions are bad, quote unquote, have this reputation of being bad ways to collect data, and how that actually is not the case, but it has become a hot topic, this negative experience in questioning. So when Dr. Dave Schmittou on the Teach Better team, who I know is live with us now, kind of engaging in the comments, so thank you for those of you that are here. Dave really dove into this concept of asking multiple choice questions, which was the same concept Tom was discussing as well. This concept of multiple choice questions gets a bad rep, right? The teacher that asks a slew of multiple choice questions is often perceived as a teacher that isn't very progressive. Progressive educators don't ask that type of questioning. And the reality is that we were actually in a really beautiful discussion around how it's not about how the question's posed, but how strategic it is, and how a multiple choice question can be excessively strategic and give you a lot of data. It's not only about asking a question and looking for the right answer, but when the wrong answer appears, what data can you actually evaluate about that student's level of understanding to provide different personalized feedback. So Dave was able to go into so much in that Wednesday discussion, which I very much appreciated. And I also love that on Wednesdays in the Daily Drop-In, we are also giving you opportunities to continue and further your learning. He was able to give some shout outs to some incredible resources at the end of our Wednesday segment, where we were able to discuss Eric Francis' current book, but also his new book coming up, and Star, who's an incredible educator, and I'm forgetting her last name. It starts with an S, if somebody can throw that in the comments. But Star, it's on the tip of my tongue. It starts with an S. Anyway, she's involved with ASCD. She's an incredible educator. She's super spunky, very high energy, really, really good person. And this is a huge focus for her. So we really love to kind of like push our network to those incredible educators, those experts in the field that are continuously doing this great work. And so we were able to kind of provide those recommendations. In addition to Dave Schmittou has a ton of work on this topic, and so does Tom Schimmer, who obviously was our guest on Tuesday. So from there, we had Jeff interviewing Andrea on Thursday. that took a whole different turn, which I loved listening to as I was in the car yesterday. Their dialogue really had to do with the art of questioning and the skill of questioning, directly related to English language learners. She was such a incredible person to have on, and her narrative, her explanation on the incredible book that she just put out in July, brand new book for DBC, I believe. This book had to do with not only the work that we can do with English language learners, but really exposed us to stories of students that have gone through the process of having teachers question and support them throughout their educational experience as an English language learner and where they are now. And I vividly remember I was driving my car. It was still dark out because I'm in Central Time Zone, so it's still very early, and I'm listening to the Daily Drop-In on the highway, and I just got chills when she was talking about how she wrote this book, because it really hit like the teacher nerve. The teacher nerve where you are like just overcome with kind of like an inspirational story because a teacher and a student had a really powerful connection, and it just kind of fills you up. It reminds you of your why. That was absolutely something that I had yesterday when I was listening, because she is so passionate about the work that she does, to not only support teachers, but so passionate about the work she does to be in the trenches with students and to be able to amplify the voices of her students that she had the experience of teaching years and years. I think is such a beautiful element of the job that we have. It's such a wonderful component of all that. So anywho, this week has been full of rich discussion. I want to challenge each and every one of you to make sure you go back to those episodes and really consume, but also connect with the people that continue to share their voices. We have a lot in store for this coming week. So I know that the conversations are only going to continue. I apologize. There's been so many comments from so many of you that I'm so eager to get back to and read through. I'm going to go through a few of them right now, and then we're going to get into previewing our coming week that we will all start on Monday morning. And I'm going to assume that there'll be no tech issues then. So you probably will not just have me, you'll have some other people as well. So thank you for all of you joining in the comments. I know there's a lot of questions in here that I hope that we are able to continue to get into. One is 36 kids in class, how to question kids to quickly check for understanding and see that kids are ready to move on. This is a perfect question relating to the conversation we had on Tuesday with Tom Schimmer. I think that this, just in simplest of terms, just to kind of get the grooves moving as you hopefully go back and even pose this question to other experts that we were able to bring on to the conversation this week, is this skill of consumption. Again, how do you question students to quickly check? And when you say quickly check, that really is the consumption I was talking about. You as the teacher can pose the question, but how do you actually get the information you need quickly enough when you have 36 kids in your classroom? Hashtag been there. So I think one of these pieces have to do with having a strong understanding of what you want your outcome to be. Not your lesson outcome, but the question outcome. And I know that means there's so many layers. And as all of the teachers know, we wear a lot of hats and we are constantly getting into deeper layers of learning. And so when you pose a question, are you simply posing a question because you feel like you should have a question? Or is the question going to give you information? And so this can be the same as, asking students to give you a thumbs up, thumbs down, having them rate themselves 3, 2, 1 on how strong they feel in their understanding. The difference is these are all really easy ways to consume information. But if the information isn't the type of information you need as an educator, then it doesn't matter how many thumbs up or thumbs down there are, because that didn't get you the data you were looking for. So when I'm thinking of 36 kids in class, I think having some of those questions where you can scan the room is really valuable. Obviously, you're going across this like massive room filled with students, very, very full classroom. So those are always good things to do. But on the flip side, you need to make sure that the question you're asking is phrased in a way where you're able to get the information you need. And so there was actually even some dialogue around that with Andrea Bittner on Thursday, because she was talking about the art or the ability of like raising whiteboards up with the answer. And again, If you can scan the room, that's phenomenal. But again, you have to make sure that the question they're answering is giving you the information you need. One element I will also suggest with this, which for me was really a lifesaver, was that when I had a massive room of students, I really wanted them to be working in that mastery style classroom. What that allowed me to do is not ask one question to 36 students, but work in small groups or one-on-one and ask different questions to different students. So as you get into that, there might be something that you can consider there, that it's not just about when you're posing the question, but another layer could be, is your classroom conducive to asking questions in a different way than might be traditionally appropriate, might be something that you're used to, because then you can allow students to be working at their own pace, which allows you to question them at their own pace, which is just something to consider. Biggest takeaway from my week, I think that we've been able to touch on that. I appreciate all these questions. Yeah, there's so many positive things in here. You guys have been so wonderful here live with us on Friday, October 1st. Thank you for those of you that have been so active in the comments, supporting the feed. We know that tech issues are always unfortunate, and we all miss the fabulous Brad Hughes on a Friday, but thankfully I am very confident that he'll be back with us next week. Just to quickly recap our next week, we are getting into the first week of October, the full week of October, and we have a lot in store. Our theme for the week is interesting, and I think it's really timely. I was in a school building yesterday morning, and I was excited when I left and saw that this was the theme, because I felt like we needed it. But the concept next week is going to be protecting your personal time and ensuring that you have time to recharge. I think that each and every one of us continues to feel that we are on this uphill battle in schools right now. And I am excited to kind of have an intentional moment where Daily Drop-In can continue to give you some suggestions on how you can make sure that you're taken care of so you can serve others, right? That same analogy everyone talks about on an airplane is that you need to make sure that you have taken care of yourself so you can give all that you have left, every single ounce of it, to others. Teachers are incredibly generous that way. So as we focus on that theme, we are going to start obviously Monday morning with the incredible Jeff Gargas, and then we'll transition on Tuesday. Eric Francis is joining us, who is actually somebody that we've referenced a lot this week with questioning. He'll be able to join us on Tuesday of next week to dive into this concept. One of my favorites, holy cow, on Wednesday. Lillian Ardell, we've actually been family friends for a long time, and she has a doctorate in language. And I actually had a Zoom call with her yesterday to kind of prepare. Jeff is going to be interviewing her on Wednesday. And on Wednesday morning, they're not only going to be focused on the use of language in schools, but she's going to be doing this incredible twist and discussion around the use of language for ourselves. And so I think that's going to lend into so many different reflection opportunities we have. On Thursday, we are going to be live for Daily Drop-In. And then obviously on Friday, we will get into the fun with Brad Hughes. So thank you for those of you who joined us live this morning. We appreciate you. I know it's not nearly as much fun when I'm here solo, but thank you to those of you who stuck around with us and were able to contribute to the conversation. We will try and get StreamYard up and moving with commercials working and everything in between during our next Daily Drop-In Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. To be frank with you guys, I'm not even going to press the commercial to play. I'm just going to say I appreciate you, and I hope you have an incredible Friday. And if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. So bye, guys. Have a wonderful day.